Did you know you don't have to put all your power into the break? And if you do, you actually have a better chance of having a tougher run out. In the last 4 years, I've played in over 8 leagues, ranging from VNEA, APA, and a little bit of BCA as well. And I've competed in over 13 tournaments, with the last one including the Las Vegas World Championships. You'd think after all that, I'd have my speed control down to a science. But in all reality, it's probably one of the hardest things I've ever tried to master. I'd overhit shots and rattle them in the pocket, lose shape, or come up short when it mattered the most. My goal was simple: learn how to control the cue ball no matter the pressure. But that took a lot of trial, error, mistakes, frustration, and plenty of moments where I'd question if I'd ever really get it down. So far, I feel pretty good about where I'm standing. And today I'm gonna go over 5 lessons that I've learned along the way that have completely changed how I think, how I play, how I approach every single shot. Today I'm breaking down the struggle so you can lock in on your own speed. The first thing we're gonna focus on is the misconception that you have to hit the break as hard as humanly possible to get the best spread possible, or to make as many balls as you can. But if you do that, the balls actually have the chance to come out of the break, hit the rails, and then cluster right back into the center again. It might not be in the perfect formation of a triangle, but you'll have clusters here, here, down here. You really don't need that. You just need a nice firm break. Something that's gonna hit the head ball centered, so that way it'll allow the energy to disperse, bounce off the rails, and kind of move up the table. Let me show you what both of them look like. The first one's gonna be a super hard break. The second one is gonna be just a firm, natural break. That was not a bad break, but if you do look at it, you have a little bit of cluster here, a little cluster here, a little bit of a cluster here. I did make one, which is the goal when breaking, right? But there's also another goal. You want to be able to have a run out. You don't want them to have a chance to shoot again. In order to do that, you have to have a good clean run out. I do see a little bit of problem with both sides. The solids over here and a little bit of the stripes over here as well. Let's go ahead and see what a firm break looks like. The balls didn't travel up the table a whole lot, and I do definitely have some tight quarters here. Like the 1 and the 5 are a little bit close together. I would definitely say this 10 and 2 are close together. But other than that, it wasn't that bad of a break. I do have a couple run out options, especially when it comes to the stripes. And if I just stayed on this table most of the way, this 3 ball is gonna be my problem ball for the solids, which can actually go into this corner here. Yes, it was a firm break. I got the ball spread out, but the cue ball stayed in the center of the table. It even got knocked by another ball, and it still stayed in the center of the table. It is possible to control the cue ball off the break, but not when you blast it. Power does not mean precision. Knowing where you're gonna hit your cue tip on the cue ball itself gives you the opportunity to actually control where it stays and lands on the table. Let's go ahead and go for another firm break here. Look at how crooked that rack is. As you can see, I definitely got the spread I wanted. I did spread out a couple on the table. I do have a little bit of a problem down there with the 11 and the 5, but everything is spread out enough that nothing is touching. Everything is makeable. It is a very spread out table. The cue ball did get bounced around, which led it to its demise, but that seems to be a very reoccurring issue for me when I'm starting to film. Okay, now that we've gone over how a firm break will beat a super powerful blast off break any day of the week, let's go ahead and focus on how we can actually use that to our advantage on just as one single shot. If you blast the ball into a pocket, it actually shrinks the pocket size and doesn't have as much leeway for it to go ahead and fall in. So let me go ahead and show you what I mean by hitting a super powerful shot, and let's just slow rolling it to get the same cue ball reaction afterwards. This first shot is going to go ahead and be a super powerful hit into the corner pocket. Wait for it, wait for it. It still bobbled. It bobbled at the end, I promise. So it looks like I missed 3. Let's go ahead and see how many I miss if I just hit it just enough for it to hit this rail and actually fall in naturally. The same exact shot setup, but I'm actually controlling the speed at which the cue ball interacts with the next ball and how fast the next ball is going to go into this rail and then bounce into the pocket itself. It's a lot easier to control where it's going to go when you actually know how it's going to get there. Now let's go ahead and show a very common issue. Sometimes it doesn't happen with the corners as much as it does with the side pockets. For this shot, I'm going to go ahead and set up for an angle like we would usually see in a game. I'm going to place the ball on the spot and create a straight-in shot into the side from this angle. First, let's go ahead and demonstrate how hard it is to make when you hit it with as much power as possible. Okay, I believe I missed 3. Let's go ahead and see what it looks like if I hit it soft. Alright, as you can see, it was all soft and I was able to make 7 again. There's less chance of it rebounding outwards because there's not enough power to get it out of the pocket, but it does give it a chance to go ahead and hit that rail and then bounce in instead of bouncing and hitting the other rail. That will work from this angle as well. If you hit it super hard here, it's actually going to bounce out a lot more often because the pocket's already so narrow. But if you were able to just glide it and get it to here, as long as it hits this rail, it's going to fall in. The next lesson I learned the hard way is hitting combo shots hard. Sometimes I just felt like I needed to get that 1 ball in. I have to hit it hard in order for the energy to transfer from the cue ball to the 2 and for the 2 to finally reach that 1 ball. That is not true. It's actually better if you go ahead and hit it soft because that will allow the 2 ball to stay in front of the pocket versus bouncing out off the 1 and going up against the rail. Let me show you what I mean. If I realized what I was doing, that would have made sense. Go and try that again. That last shot I hit super hard, and you see where the 6 ball ended up going, out of the pocket without making it an easy shot. Let me go ahead and show you what that looks like one more time. And let's go ahead and look and see, again, what happens if I go ahead and hit the 6 just soft enough for it to reach the 7 and then put it into the pocket. I did it again. I made the other one, but if it didn't go in, it still would have been in this general area for another easy make. Let's go ahead and get on to the next one. Okay, for this next drill, I want to go ahead and show you the importance of why controlling the cue ball and making it move as little as possible, especially after every hit, is going to save you a lot more time and trouble than accidentally getting stuck behind another ball when trying to do some fancy spin to get better shape. Less movement means you have more control of the rack. So if you couldn't tell, that one I was trying to use as much rails and spin and English and speed as I could, but I had no reason to. Let me show you why. For my last and final lesson that will probably help you the most is going to be respecting the 8 ball. I don't think I've ever had to hit the 8 ball hard, but at the very most medium speed. Most often than not, I can hit the 8 ball soft, which then does 2 things for me. One, if I do miss, the 8 ball stays in that general area and doesn't have the opportunity to go to a whole nother pocket and fall in and then cost me the game. And 2, the cue ball doesn't have enough power or energy to go ahead and continue itself around the table and then scratch and give my opponent ball in hand, or in some leagues completely cost the game as well. Let me go ahead and give you a couple examples of what could happen and what should happen. So that's still a loss in just about every league I know. I have no business trying to hit the ball that hard just for it to go into another pocket. Let me show you the correct way to make this shot. This cue ball wasn't even close to getting to that pocket or hitting another rail or hitting another ball if there were any. I don't understand when I do see it happen, because I would say 75% of the time you can hit it soft. The other 25% of the time you hit it medium. Never have I seen a reason that you need to blast that cue ball just for it to find another home in a different pocket, or miss the 8 ball and then actually make it in the wrong pocket. There's no reason to blast it. It's like my biggest pet peeve. I really hope these 5 lessons that I've learned the hard way have been able to help you and kind of open up your eyes to how you can play the game differently yourself. If you did like this video, please be sure to comment and let me know what other lessons you've learned the hard way so that way we can help out every viewer coming to watch. With that being said, please give this video a like, subscribe if you're interested for more pool content. Thank you for watching. This has been Trent on the break. I blasted it to see if it would become a cluster if I would scratch. Yes and yes. Well, yes and no. I didn't scratch, but yes, there's definitely a cluster back there.